Hello and welcome back to the Breakfast Show. Now it's time for our daily press review, and I'd like to welcome journalist Ikram Ibrahim from Ahram Online. Good morning. Well, we're going to start with Al Ahram newspaper, and we're going to be looking at the draft law of criminalizing protests. From the first page, some labor cadres say that this draft is worrying and contradicts with the right to demonstrate.
Actually, this draft law had made so many problems during the past 2 days. People are really worried that because we are in a revolution time, so how can you criminalize protest or demonstrations? This is a question. Another question, if Mubarak accepts that and let demonstrations to happen during his time. After Mubarak and during the revolution, you don't accept that? So this is another very important question. The draft law says that it would be criminalized if it affects the workflow. Okay, so how can you hold this? How can you know if this affects the workflow or not? I can do anything and you say this affects the workflow. It's not direct. You cannot hold it easily. On the other side, the draft also says that whoever calls for the demonstration is gonna be criminalized. So it's not only protesting and participating, it's also calling for it. So it means if you made a call on Facebook or on Twitter or you asked your colleagues at work. So I think this makes people more afraid. So you want the revolutions to stop?
Well, Ikram, the Minister of Justice, also from Al Ahram, is saying that the law is not heavy stick and it's not to terrify the people.
Yeah, okay, but I told you the law. I told you the statement that it says that it is criminalized if it affects the workflow and whoever also participated and whoever calls for it. So if this is the law, it's not. I think it terrifies people already.
Also from Al Ahram newspaper, we read Mubarak, Safwat al-Sharif, Fathi Surur, and Zakaria Azmi and Al-Shazli family to be charged in front of with charges of illegal profiteering. These names have been since the revolution started, these names have been on the top list of everyone who was protesting and all of the Egyptians, especially after we heard the billions and billions of pounds that were wasted or that were taken illegally.
Yes. Of course, that during the past months or something, people kept on saying, where is Sharif, where is Surur, and where is Azmi? Or people are asking about, especially those three names, where aren't they prosecuted till now? But starting with illegal profiteering, I don't think this is what people are also waiting for only. I think there's corruption, and we want to know how they were involved in this corruption. You get me? So I don't know if this is enough, and I feel like every now and then we see Mubarak's assets are frozen, Mubarak is not allowed to travel, and then nothing happens. And so I don't know, I'm afraid that this is just something for the news and it doesn't have a big effect.
But I think that Mubarak family, especially after we heard 70 billion and 80 billion dollars, not even pounds, a lot of Egyptians now are waiting
to know the real. Yeah.
They want to know the real amount of money he and his family, and also they are waiting for the money to come back to Egypt.
Of course, I agree. People are waiting for that dramatically.
Even some very simple people think that they will get a share automatically once it comes back to Egypt.
It's not going to happen that way, I guess. And I think that the Arab leaders are making it even harder. That the Arab leaders have said that if Mubarak went to trial, they're going to send us back, the Egyptians working there, and stop dealing with us or the corporations.
Cut diplomatic ties.
Yeah, so I guess they're making it hard, and this was not expected from them.
Well, related to money, but this time it's related more to the economy. Some of the big news here in Egypt is the stock market. Basically, yesterday was the second day it opens after it reopened. The stock market received 600 investment requests amid optimism for the better. The main benchmark EGX 30 traded down 3.73% only to reach 4,950.82. Analysts say that these are somehow good indicators.
Yeah, I think the idea of the stock market was making people very afraid. Oh, the stock market is gonna open. Oh, we're gonna like lose zillions of money, and people were afraid that some people commit suicide even. You know, when they were going to open the stock market like 15 days or 3 weeks ago, they said that people went there to the stock market and they protested, and they said, no, we don't want it to be open because we're afraid of our money. And now it is open, and now it's good. I think this makes people really happy and feel like, okay, we have some losses during the revolution, but we can make them up, and there are Egyptians who want to work on this. Also, I think that next week will hold more optimism related to the stock market, because I think this week some people were still reluctant to buy shares in the stock market, because still the situation is not like stable here in Egypt. But by next week, when they see that the shares are getting better and it's good, next week I think there will be even higher numbers than that.
And also the expectations related to who's going to buy the shares. If you remember, a couple of days ago, right before it reopened, there were ads on TV calling for Egyptians, individuals even, to go and invest even £100 in the stock market. But now we see Arab investors, we see foreign investors. So this is something optimistic related to the expectations.
I think people who are going to enter now the stock market are going to make good money. And there are calls all over that they're going to make a good money.
Well, we're going to learn more about the Egyptian stock market in this report, and then we'll be back to continue our press review.
On the second day after resuming trading, the Egyptian stock market was bolstered by huge purchasing operations by local, Arab and foreign individual investors and institutions on leading stocks. The main benchmark EGX 30 index traded down 3.73% to reach 4,950.82 points in the closing session. Recovering from a drop of nearly 6.7% earlier, the EGX 70 rebounded by 2.5% to close at 503.77 points, and the EGX 100 increased by 0.86% to close at 812.56 points. Traders said the overall transactions within the session had reached £2.7 billion. Mainly leading stocks, including Egyptian financial group EFG Hermes, Orascom Telecom and Orascom Construction Industries, rebounded, which in turn bolstered the performance of the market. Kuwaiti ambassador to Egypt Dr. Rashid Al Hamad inaugurated the session and expressed his confidence that Egypt's economy would overcome the current crisis. He said his country would do anything to boost Egyptian economy. Meanwhile, investors and analysts expected that Egyptian stock market would rise next week, with dealers regain confidence in the market, which was shut for nearly 2 months. Economists have urged people to hold on to their shares and not to be hasty in selling operations.
Welcome back to our press review, and we still have with us journalist Ikram Ibrahim from Ahram Online to continue reviewing the press with us. Well, we move now to Al Akhbar newspaper, and we read visiting American Defense Secretary Robert Gates assures the head of the Supreme Council Hussein Tantawi that the American aid to Egypt is sustained. And of course, they also were talking about Libya and the military situation there and how they will handle it. This is again like the third top official to come to Egypt in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, the top U.S. official to come to Egypt. I think U.S. has to sustain the aid it gives to Egypt. Now we need this aid, but we have to tell them and to be clear about this, that this does not mean that they're going to interfere in our policies and in our decisions. I think this has to be really clear, because we don't want to go back to Mubarak's era, and where people said no, they interfered in our country, and Mubarak accepted that for money. So we have to be sure that they're not going to impose on us anything. So I think this is the most important thing. But I think the economy needs this this aid. We really need it. We have to admit it.
Of course. How about the other part of the meeting? They were discussing the situation in Libya, and Hussein Tantawi said that it is really worrying what is happening to the citizens living in Libya, especially that we have many Egyptians there. So the situation is really worrying. NATO now is taking over. There are basically wrangling, somehow kind of wrangling between